Happy Hanukkah, everybody! I'm Juliet the daughter.
And I'm Kevin the dad, and as my Jewish friend Andy would say, his people write the best Christmas songs.
And some of the best Christmas songs that they wrote are included on this album, which is...
A Jolly Christmas from Frank Sinatra.
Yes! Okay, so as is our usual practice this time of year, towards the middle of December, we do a Christmas special / holiday special, and then we take the rest of the year off before doing a new season in January. So next time you hear from us will be in 2026. But first, we've got an album to cover. So Dad, what do we need to know about Frank with this particular album in his career?
First of all, we need to know that we're not doing a biography of Frank because we did that on the previous podcast episode.
Go listen to that if you'd like the full bio.
Yep. So let's concentrate on this. Over his long career, Frank Sinatra recorded 4 Christmas albums. His first, Christmas Songs by Sinatra, came out in 1948 on Columbia Records. It was only his 3rd album for that label. Its first configuration was 478 RPM records, 2 songs per record, a true album. Because back then they would put the 78s in the sleeve and kind of like make a book or like a photo album out of them.
Oh.
It was also released as a 10-inch record in 1948 with 4 songs on each side. Columbia reissued it a few times with alternate track listings and different artwork. In 1957, it was finally released as an LP with 10 songs, probably to compete with A Jolly Christmas, which came out on Capitol Records the same year. Sinatra versus Sinatra, who would win?
Stay tuned.
Sinatra. When it was released on CD in 1994, it had 15 songs. In 1964, Frank recorded his 3rd Christmas album, 12 Songs of Christmas. It featured Frank, Bing Crosby, and Fred Waring and his Pennsylvanians. Now, the 3 had contributed on an earlier album in 1964 called America, I Hear You Singing, which was a collection of patriotic songs recorded as a tribute to JFK. Now, in 1968, Frank recorded his 4th and final Christmas album, The Sinatra Family Wish You a Merry Christmas.
Oh, are Nancy and Frank Jr. on it?
And Tina,
Okay.
the Sinatra no one talks about.
Sorry, Tina.
So this was on Frank's label, Reprise Record. And yes, it's Frank along with his kids, Tina, Nancy, and Frank Jr. It was released on vinyl, reel-to-reel, because this is the 60s. Nana and Grandpa had a reel-to-reel tape player a long time ago. Kind of looked like an old movie projector.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And it also came out on 8-track before going out of print for decades.
Wow.
In 1999, it was released on CD by the Artanis Entertainment Group, Artanis being Sinatra, spelled backwards.
Wow.
Tina and Nancy recorded with their dad in the studio. Frank Jr. was out on tour and had to add his singing to pre-recorded tracks.
Does it sound like it?
Don't know, haven't listened to it, don't really want to listen to it.
Okay.
But I got to say that adding his vocals to the pre-recorded tracks kind of a foreshadowing to Frank's duets albums in the 90s.
And also kind of what Natalie Cole would do with her dad, but he'd passed away, so that was her reason for doing it.
And what your mom and I just heard recently, some country music guy doing with Elvis, a Blue Christmas duet.
And Barbra Streisand did that with a couple people in her albums who passed on, Elvis and Anthony Newley.
People just need to stop doing this. Anyway, the Sinatra Family Wish You a Merry Christmas. The album cover art is something else.
Oh, are they all wearing sweaters or something?
They're all dressed in white against a white background.
Oh,
There's just so much white.
that sounds cultish.
So much. It's very 60s too.
Huh.
Now, as for the album we're going to review today, A Jolly Christmas with Frank Sinatra was from Frank Sinatra, either with or from, I can't remember.
From.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It was recorded in 1 week from July 10th to the 17th in 1957 because summertime is probably when most Christmas albums are recorded, I guess.
That way they can hit the market at the right time.
Yeah, it's not like you can do it like the day before.
No.
The concept was one side of contemporary songs and another side of traditional carols.
Okay, that explains the mix then.
Yep. Now, Gordon Jenkins arranged and conducted. Now, per Wikipedia, Capitol reissued the album in 1965 with different cover art and a new title, the Sinatra Christmas Album. both of which also featured on the album's initial 1987 compact disc pressing. The original title and cover were eventually restored for subsequent CD pressings in 1990 and 1999. In 2001, the album art was altered from its 1957 version. The CD bonus tracks were originally issued on a 1954 Capitol 45 RPM single, arranged and conducted by Nelson Riddle. Now, in 2007, Capitol released a 50th anniversary edition using the 2001 cover art. It also includes a PSA Frank did for the American Lung Association's Christmas Seals campaign, and yes, we will be reviewing that track as well.
Because if we reviewed the spoken track on Frank's last album, we're going to be consistent.
Now, having seen the original album cover artwork, I can see why it was altered. The original is just too busy. The layout wasn't well thought out.
The one we know now is fine.
Yeah. Now, Frank is on the cover twice. There's a headshot painting, which is the cover that we have. But off to the left is a full figure of Frank carrying a lot of gifts. The placement of the title and the font used for the title are just terrible. Capitol also slapped their label's logo in the upper right corner, just kind of randomly, and the album's dominant color is black. And the revised cover is simpler. It's just a headshot of Frank with a red background. But I gotta say, when your mom and I were at Barnes & Noble about 2 weeks ago, they had a Christmas vinyl display, and I'm flipping through, and son of a gun, there it is, A Jolly Christmas from Frank Sinatra, original album art. And the thing is, like, the full figure of Frank carrying the gifts, it's blurred.
Oh,
and I think it was
no.
just painted that way, or either it was painted small and they tried to enlarge or something. It's just not sharp.
How much was the vinyl?
The usual $35.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Now, as I said before, Gordon Jenkins conducted the orchestra while the Ralph Brewster Singers provide backup. There were 20 members of the Ralph Brewster Singers.
Some songs it sounds like there's 20.
And one of them was our buddy Thurl Ravenscroft,
Oh, cool.
also known as Tony the Tiger, and the guy who sings the Grinch songs on How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the good version.
And he's done a lot of the old Disney movies from their Silver Age, if you go back and look.
Oh, yeah, and he's also done some work for your buddy Spike Jones. Anyway, as for me, I picked this up possibly the year it came out, the 50th anniversary in 2007. I saw it at Newberry Comics in Needham Heights, Massachusetts, just a few storefronts down from the old New England Bookmobile, rest in peace.
Oh, yeah.
Best bookstore ever. Did we ever take you?
I think you might have when I was small.
Yeah, place is massive. Anyway, I took it home, played it once, and let it sit on the shelf because I felt it wasn't very Frank-like, especially considering that he was at Capitol Records and turning out the best music that he'd ever make. And it just seemed like he wasn't into it. And also, Jolly and Frank just don't seem to go together.
Yeah.
Eventually, I gave it to your mom, but I think she did the same thing. Played it once and just let it sit on her CD shelf. But now it's 18 years later, so I thought, could be time for me to give it a second listen.
Let's revisit
But
it. Yeah.
will I feel differently? Let us find out.
Or will this CD end up going into the Savers donation bin after we're done recording? Let's find out, listeners. First track, Jingle Bells. Okay, now when we did Bing's album last year, I said that his version of Jingle Bells dethroned Frank. I think I've changed my mind. This is still my favorite version of Jingle Bells, but I don't think it would be as iconic if it wasn't for the backup singers. Because if it was Frank just singing this by himself, it would still be a fine cover, but nothing would really stand out. The good thing about Frank singing this is he doesn't sound like he's phoning it in as he would later in his career. He definitely could have sung this in Las Vegas and it wouldn't have been out of place at all. But he sounds like he's having some holiday fun where he's not taking it so seriously, but he's enjoying singing it just enough. However, what makes this song is the backup singers going, sing it with me.
I love those J-I-N-G-L-E bells.
Oh, those happy J-I-N-G-L-E bells. Oh, those happy J-I-N-G-L-E-B-E-double-L-S. I love those J-I-N-G-L-E bells. And that's it.
Take it, Frank.
He can't. He's dead.
Oh,
Sorry. So these singers are putting in most of the work, and it pays off because they create a very jazzy vibe for this song that's just really okay by itself. But it's the one I'll always sing along to just because of how much fun those backup singers are having, and it's catchy as hell. Great opening to get you in the mood.
now I just thought of something when you mentioned Bing Crosby.
Yeah,
I'm surprised like he or someone else didn't do a version called Bingle Bells.
that doesn't sound right. I
Well,
think they knew it would have been bad.
yeah, well, it's never stopped people from making crappy Christmas music before.
We were spared this time around, though.
Anyway, this was written by James Pierpont in 1857, and it's probably the most popular secular holiday song, as it doesn't mention Christmas at all.
Nope, I think it was written for No, was it Sleigh Ride or Jingle Bells was written for Thanksgiving originally? I have to look up which one it was.
Okay, the Ralph Brewster singers get the first 30 seconds to themselves before
Yep.
before Frank decides to show up, and then I'm gonna keep calling these people the Ralphsters.
The Ralphsters, okay.
Yeah, just to shorten it. They show up again the last 30 seconds of the song, and this time Frank joins in. He sort of swings it. I mean, I don't know if he was holding back because it's Christmas and he has too much respect for the holiday or what, but overall, I think it's really a decent start, but it needs like a little more Frank. I thought there was too much Ralph in this song, and for me, I thought, oh man, I hope this isn't going to be like the whole album where he's just letting these people in the background do all the work, and he's just going to wander in and out, after having a few drinks.
We shall see.
Yes, we shall.
Next track, The Christmas Song. We all know who this song belongs to, and it's Nat. I think the reason Nat King Cole's rendition works better isn't just because it's the one I've heard the most, but I think it's because he and the musicians work together equally to contribute to the vibe of a cozy Christmas day. And I think it's best suited as a comfy Christmas song. Because think about it, the image of chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost affectionately nipping at your nose, that suits the vibe of jazz music. But I think Frank's is a little bit too formal, especially with the backup singers vocalizing and singing some of the lyrics themselves. I think what they're trying to do is make Frank's voice the focal point here, which makes sense. He's Frank Sinatra after all. You don't want to detract from his voice too much. But in my opinion, it creates a tone and mood that neither of which suit the song. And I think the moment that made me roll my eyes a little bit is when he sings about how Santa is on his way and they do a miniature reprise of Jingle Bells like, hey, remember when we heard that first track and how great it was? I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that I know what my preference is between Frank and Nat. I wouldn't mind if this one came on the radio and I don't find it morally objectionable, but I think it misses the mark.
Morally objectionable. Okay.
I don't find it morally objectionable.
Okay. This was written by Mel Torme and Robert Wells I think they wrote it like by a swimming pool in July.
Nice Jewish boy.
Because they wanted to try to cool down, and they just thought,
Christmas
start coming
is
up with
cold.
Christmas stuff. Yeah. But yes, it's definitely Nat King Cole's song, and no one is ever going to top his version. No one. Not even Frank. But you know what? I think, darn it, if Frank doesn't do a bang-up job on this, it doesn't swing, nor should it. And yes, the Ralphsters show up. But you know what? I think Frank could have done without them on this, because I thought he's really bringing it to this.
I agree,
I thought he did just a really good job, and I thought that the background singers were just not needed at all. It should have just been his show. But I think one of the things, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, I think one of the reasons that they were using the background singers is like it makes it seem more Christmassy.
Like
if
a
that
Christmas
makes
choir?
sense. Yeah,
I think
guess.
that's what they were going
You
for.
need a lot of voices, and it's like, well, we can't let Frank do this by himself because everyone's going to think it's one of his concept albums. We need to
But he's Frank.
distinguish this. Yeah,
He can do whatever he wants.
he could have. I guess maybe he wanted to use the singers.
I have a theory about the singers, and we're going to get to it with the next track.
Mistletoe and Holly?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
I can't take Frank seriously when he sings the word golly. You are from Jersey. You know every four-letter word in the book. I don't know what to make of this song because it's very cute, but some of the lyrics, I think they kind of date the song. Because I can't think of anybody who, as soon as it's Christmas time, goes, oh boy, time to put up the mistletoe and holly. The tree is the big thing nowadays. But I know decades and decades ago it used to be that Christmas trees were put up only on Christmas Eve. Now we see a lot of trees put up as soon as it's no longer Halloween or right after Thanksgiving at the latest. And also, does anyone still eat pheasant for Christmas anymore? Maybe in Europe, and I have no idea if pheasants are around rural Rhode Island or not. It's not exactly an iconic Christmas song, and I think if people think of this song and Frank, it's kind of with an amused disbelief, like, can you believe he recorded this? And again, I don't know if the backup singers are needed here, but I guess they had a contract to do the full album, or they must have had a great union president.
Either that or Frank hired them and Frank said, we're going to use them on every single song no matter what.
Bada bing,
Or
bada boom.
else.
Okay, Frank.
Yes. This was written by Doc Stanford, Hank Santacola, and Frank.
Oh,
Yes.
huh.
Yeah, go figure. Sometimes he
They let
could.
him write a song.
Sometimes he could.
Did he write the Golly, or was that somebody else?
I don't know, but he sings about how it's that time of year for mistletoe and holly, obviously. Tasty pheasants, because that rhymes with presents. And I wonder if pheasant is pleasant. I've never had it, even at the game meals that Uncle Joey and Grandpa and I used to go to.
Oh, at the Nordic Lodge?
Had raccoon, moose, bear. Never had pheasant, I don't think. I don't know. Anyway, basically, I think of this as like a list song.
Okay.
Not like a Bob Dylan list song because everything here makes sense. Anyway, my favorite line is Merry greeting from relatives you don't know, nor do you probably want to know them. I thought Frank did a good job with this, and for me, it's worth it just to hear him sing, oh, by gosh.
By golly.
By golly. It's like, 5 words you would never expect to come out of Frank's mouth.
No.
But it's Christmas, and this is Christmas Frank, and he's going to be polite about it, darn it. And, once again, the Ralphsters sparingly used. They don't overwhelm the track, so I was fine with that.
Next track, I'll Be Home for Christmas. We reviewed Bing's rendition last year. I think Frank's is a little more melancholy than Bing's, especially when Frank chooses to soften his voice to a piano dynamic, and he thinks about how he wants to be home for Christmas while knowing he can't be there. The church bells make it a lot more solemn. I think if you listen to his and Bing's, you get emotional for 2 different reasons. Bing's, you get misty for the nostalgia of home and hoping you'll be back next year. Frank's, you get emotional because you don't think you'll ever get back. So, it depends which version you feel like crying to this holiday season.
Merry Christmas, everybody. This was written by Kim Gannon and Walter Kent and first recorded by Bing in 1943 to honor soldiers who long to be home at Christmas time. It was the most requested song at USO Christmas shows and was banned by the BBC because management thought the lyrics might lower the morale among the British troops. Quite. Anyway, the Ralphsters start off ooh, ooh, oohing Silent Night, but then they turn it into I'll Be Home.
Which I think is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice mashup there before mashing up was a thing. And then Frank shows up. And, well, I mean, the thing is, like, he's really feeling it on this song.
He is, yes.
And, yeah, he definitely conveys the loneliness of being away from home and the longing to be back there. And like you said, we're not sure if he's even going to make it. I mean, it's just, like, really, really a downer of a Christmas song.
Yeah.
This is where, I'll have a black Christmas without you, or even with you. You're bumming me out.
Then Father Christmas, give us some money.
Anyway.
Next track, The Christmas Waltz. I never knew this had lyrics for the longest time until about a few years ago when Voctiv did a cover of it. They did a medley of Christmas songs all set to 3/4 time. It was this, Once Upon a December from Anastasia, and Favorite Things. I think also I confused the Christmas Waltz with the Skater's Waltz as a kid,
yeah.
which
Yep.
would have been interesting to try to set to lyrics. I'm flying in the air. I don't know. I think the song is quaint in a beautiful way. By itself, too, the lyrics read like poetry, which you can't do with every song, but you could do with this, especially with that opening lyric of frosted window panes. And the setting of this song to waltz time gives it the flow of a poem, too. When the instruments get to shine, it sounds like one of those pieces people would dance to on Christmas Eve in Victorian England. Or if you've ever seen the Nutcracker Ballet, when they open at the Christmas party and everybody's doing those old-timey dances before they transition into the ballet part. It's like that. Very stately and formal, but Frank brings it the warmth. Although I think his quick Merry Christmas at the end sucks you out of the waltz at the end, especially if you are trying to dance to this song. You're kind of like, oh, it's over now.
It's time to stop now.
And I realized that the backup singers wouldn't have sounded out of place singing backup to the Christmas scenes from Lady and the Tramp.
Okay.
They would
yeah,
have fit. They fit the vibe.
I bet they probably did, too.
Not a go-to Christmas song, but I still smile when I hear it play.
Okay, now this was the B-side to Frank's version of White Christmas that he had recorded as a one-shot Christmas single for Capitol back in 1954. Now, it was written by Sammy Cahn and Julie Stein specifically for Frank. Stein had called Cahn saying, Frank wants a Christmas song. And Cahn said, we're not going to write a Christmas song. Quote, after Irving Berlin's White Christmas, ridiculous.
Well, okay, I get their point with that one.
Yeah. Stein persisted. Frank wants a Christmas song. With an implied or else.
Oh,
Meant Christmas stockings for them to wear, I imagine.
probably, yeah.
But they were going back and forth, and they figured out no one had ever written a Christmas waltz.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, skaters waltz, but that's skating. And they just took it from there. It is a waltz, but for me, it's like I kind of have to listen really closely to hear that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
I have to listen really closely, too, for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the words come across very clunky. It's just something about, Santa's got things for you and me, and
I'll argue it won't be clunky a little bit later, but we'll get there when we get there.
Okay, because I thought, Frank's doing the best he can with what he's got. He's trying to make chicken salad. Anyway.
Oh, Julie Stein, wherever you are, I'm so sorry.
I'm not.
I'll share a little anecdote about him after you're done with your piece.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I thought the best line is when he sings, and this song of mine in 3/4 time. He sings it with such ease. It's like he remembers, hey, I'm Frank. And I kind of wish the rest of the song was like that.
Yeah. So the only anecdote about Julie Stein I'll share is he's had an interesting career in musical theater. He did Funny Girl for Barbra Streisand. He did the Mama Rose musical with Stephen Sondheim and Ethel Merman. But what was really sad was the last musical he wrote was an adaptation of the film The Red Shoes. And it got massacred to death when Stanley Donen took over. And the reason that it could get massacred to death was because Julie Stein was so unwell, he was on kidney dialysis 3 times a week. And so they got away with murder with his score. But one funny story is Hugh Panera's doing the show. Julie Stein was in the audience that night, and he did some vocal riffing with Julie's score. And Julie comes up to him and goes, you did a great show. Cut the extra notes, though. And then he said, I didn't like it when Barbara did it either. Anyway, all right. But, we'll get to another version of this song later. But for now...
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
This Hugh Panera guy, when did this occur?
The Red Shoes revival?
When he did his thing, yeah.
I want to say it was in the 1990s.
Oh, wow. So Julie Stein was pretty old?
He was pretty old at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, back to Christmas. Next track, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Or else.
You've heard Bing, you've heard Bublé, and of course, you've heard Judy. So how's Frank? Well, it's the same key as Judy's, actually. It's just one of those Christmas songs that's so iconic and comforting. You really can't hate any rendition of it because of how it's cemented itself in the history of Christmas music. However, I think the route that Frank should have taken is just the song being him and an acoustic guitar that we hear at the beginning. He's done that before. He did a similar arrangement in later years when he'd sing Send in the Clowns. And what I would say is maybe if you have to keep other instruments, keep the strings too, but the choir with their vocalizations take away from the intimacy of the song. I've always read it as a lullaby that should be sung with tenderness, especially with how Judy sings it in the movie Meet Me in St. Louis. But the backup singer's sound is a little too big at the beginning. Frank sounds great, but we gotta know when to keep the chorus and when to let him and the message of the song shine.
Mm-hmm. This was written by Hugh Martin and Ralph Blaine in 1943 and first sung by Judy Garland in the 1944 movie Meet Me in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. It started out as a downer of a song, though. Judy, co-star Tom Drake, and director Vincente Minnelli, a.k.a. Mr. Judy Garland.
A.k.a. father of Liza.
Yep. They asked Martin to change some of the lyrics. What was originally, quote, it may be your last, next year we may all be living in the past, became... Let your heart be light. Next year, all our troubles will be out of sight.
Can you imagine if that earlier version made it into the film? Oh my God.
Now, when it came time for Frank to record the song, he asked Martin to change the line, we'll have to muddle through somehow. Mm-hmm. Because according to Frank, the name of my album is A Jolly Christmas. Do you think you could jolly up that line for me?
Okay, that makes sense.
Thus, hang a shining star upon the highest bough.
Okay. That's what we hear more nowadays, I think.
Every time I hear that line, all I can think of is Eric Cartman singing that on a South Park Christmas. Anyway, No one asked Ralph Blaine to make any changes to the song because, according to Hugh Martin, Ralph didn't write any of it. They were a songwriting team at first, though, but I think it was like a Lennon and McCartney partnership. They wrote as a team first, then they wrote solo, even though both of them got credit. And Hugh Martin thought, I'll be a good guy and give Ralph, let him still keep the credit. But then he realized, ugh, if I knew how much money he was making, I would have kept it all to myself. Anyway, I think Frank does a really good job with this song, and the Ralphsters aren't too intrusive. And again, I think their presence there is there to make it more Christmassy, but it's Frank, and I don't think they were needed. And okay, now I'm going to say, now it's time for the vegetables part of the album. Side one, these songs were the dessert. And I think Bing Crosby did it right on his White Christmas / Merry Christmas album. You get the veggies on side one with the traditional religious Christmas songs, and then you get the dessert on side two with the fun stuff. So onward.
Okay, kids, time to turn the record over.
To the vegetables.
The first Noel. I'm glad that we're getting into Frank singing some hymns. I think his voice is perfectly suited for them.
Nice Catholic boy.
And the use of the chorus is appropriate. At first, when they started singing, I thought Frank was going to have the problem that the singer did on the Phil Spector Christmas album with the Bells of St. Mary's. Was it Bobby?
Bobby Sox.
Bobby Sox, yeah. I thought it was Bobby Sox, but I second-guessed myself.
Probably not his real name.
But yeah, the problem that Bobby Sox had was he has to fight against this big wall of sound as trying to outshout the music. But thankfully, this doesn't have that problem. I think they figured out the balance of the song about halfway through. The shepherds are lying in the field when they see the star, and they say, Noel, born is the King of Israel. I don't think they would have said Noel back then, though, but I could be wrong. Anyway, this Frank's voice has a tenderness that he knows how to deploy appropriately, and this song is a good example of it.
Okay, this is one of those Christmas songs where it's hard to pinpoint the exact origin. The version that we know came out around 1823 in a collection called Carols Ancient and Modern. I thought Frank did a decent job. Some parts, yeah, he does seem to be drowned out by the Ralphsters and the orchestra. And I thought that the singers also did a lot of the heavy lifting for Frank on this one.
Yeah.
But I think they could have dialed it back and let him shine more.
Next track, O Little Town of Bethlehem. I think
Hark the Herald Angels Sing?
Oh no, Spotify didn't have that one.
Oh, I did send you the list.
Oh, nuts. Okay, you want to talk about Hark the Herald
I
Angels
I will herald those angels.
Thank you.
Hockey stick. This is your hockey stick moment.
This is my hockey stick moment.
We'll get to that in a minute. Words by Charles Wesley, music adapted from Felix Mendelssohn. Frank tries to goose this one a little. There's actually a trace of jointiness in his voice, and I thought the MO was similar to the first Noel. Sing the first verse or chorus, let the singers take over the bulk of it, and then come back in towards the end. And as for the hockey stick, for those of you who have seen the other Peanuts Christmas special,
It's Christmas time again,
Charlie Brown. Sally is an angel in a Christmas play, and she just has one line.
Hark.
Hark. And she keeps practicing it over and over and over. And then when she gets on stage, she comes out with...
Hockey stick. Hockey stick.
Hockey stick. Yes, so that's where we get Hockey Stick, the Angels Sing.
Now, A Little Town of Bethlehem,
Yes,
right?
Go ahead.
I think the only version that gives Frank a run for his money is the short cut of the song sung by Dennis Morgan as Jefferson Jones in Christmas in Connecticut.
Okay, yeah, I can, yeah, good call.
Go see it if you haven't. It's an old romantic comedy with Barbara Stanwyck, and it's an absolute delight.
Just saw that last night.
I know. Anyway, I saved this to my playlist because I don't have a ton of sacred hymns on my Christmas playlist, but I'm grateful that we do this podcast where I remember that beautiful hymns exist. And this one is very moving. In the dark street shines the light of the baby Jesus, and it's quite a beautifully written description. And it feels like a lullaby, like something that would play for the baby Jesus to sing him to sleep. Frank does a good job at singing softer songs, and somebody actually put together a playlist of his songs that double as lullabies. It's very soothing if you want to check it out. I think this should be on there for like a holiday lullaby playlist because it calms you and it makes you reflect and feel warm inside.
Okay, this is from 1868, words by Philip Brooks and music by Louis Redner. And as for Frank, I think we know the drill by now. But, he does a great job of it because, he was Frank after all. And yeah, he definitely sets the mood with his voice. He's definitely bringing it, and it's very calm and it's very soothing.
Next track, Adeste Fidelis. This is the title anyway, is the original Latin text for the hymn we all know as O Come All Ye Faithful, which I've always loved. The rendition of Adeste Fidelis I'm most familiar with is Luciano Pavarotti's because my mom has that on her Treasury of Christmas Classics. That album got played so much when I was a kid, but I always loved Luciano's rendition. And I would have heard it anyway because he's my mom's favorite of the three tenors. My favorite of those three tenors got hashtag me too, so I'm not going to say who it is. Anyway, I was disappointed though that Frank sang the English rendition because based on the title, I thought he'd be singing the Latin. I thought it would have been cool to hear Frank singing a language that wasn't his own. I always find it interesting that he never sang Italian, but if you want that, that's what Dean Martin's for. And I think Frank Mobb's connections with the mob were a little too tenuous to the point where maybe he shied away from singing the Italian on purpose. Anyway, what I like about this rendition is how they choose to end it, where they sing the words Christ, Christ the Lord, all on one note with its beautiful solemnity. And I think that's when the solemnity works. When the chorus starts singing the second verse, though, they come in blasting like the choir of angels, like, wake up, the angels are here, ready or not.
Everyone look busy.
But I always prefer the versions of O Come All Ye Faithful that are a bit more bubbly and fun. Just watch my family home video for some good examples. It's like, hey, we're happy that Jesus is coming and we're going to go. It's going to be fun. This one is more of a command from the Lord and it feels very stately. But I feel more in place to go with the more happy approach that my family always sang every Christmas Eve. I'm very biased, what can I say, but very beautiful ending.
Okay, this was written by either John Francis Wade, King John IV of Portugal, or an anonymous Cistercian monk.
We Portuguese know who it was.
Yeah. Translated to English as O Come All Ye Faithful by Frederick Oakley, and I think we really went into depth with this on Bing's Christmas album. And I gotta say, for me, Bing's is the best version because he definitely does the Latin, and he does a really good job, and he's got that Bing voice, and he brings a lot of gravity and solemnity to it. But I thought Frank sings the English words very reverentially. You know, he's being very respectful, and yeah, I think it would have been interesting to hear him do the Latin.
Next track, It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. The rendition I'm most familiar with is the cut the Carpenters did on their Christmas album where it's sung in beautiful multi-part harmony. However, this meant I never heard the second stanza. I thought this was very beautiful. Another peaceful Christmas lullaby as the world hears the angels sing peace on earth and goodwill toward men. The hymns are really where the richness of Sinatra's voice shines, and I wish that was the entire contents of this album.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
The words by Edmund Sears in 1849 and music by Richard Storrs Willis in 1850. It's 5 stanzas, but Frank and the gang sing just the first 2 because if they sang all of them, this song would be about 6 or 7 minutes long at the rate that they're going. But all I can say is, solid work by Frank.
Next track, Silent Night. Shh. As we've discussed in previous podcasts, my favorite instrumental rendition of this is the violin version by Brett and Eddie of Two Set Violin. I sent it to you last year. Bing recorded this and did a wonderful job, and Frank sings his version very well. He doesn't get too loud, but maybe sings it at a vocal dynamic a little louder than I prefer. I also think the choir should have just stuck to singing vocalises, because if they sing the lyrics, then it creates a wall of sound, and I don't think Silent Night should have a wall of sound. And then repeating the words Alleluia wasn't needed. It should be soothing and make you want to fall asleep in front of the Christmas tree. The only ways you can screw up this song are if you sing it too loud or if you're Stevie Nicks. Okay, Frank's rendition does fine, but the arrangement needs some fine-tuning. Stevie, I love you, but oh my God.
Anyway, this is from 1818, words by Joseph Moore and music by Franz Gruber. No relation to Hans Gruber.
No.
And you listeners can debate about whether or not Die Hard really is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, that's for you guys. But I will say, if that's a Christmas movie, so is Lion in Winter. Keep going.
I think Lion in Winter is probably more Christmassy because they do have presents, and I believe there is a tree.
There is, and they exchange presents too.
So, Christmas.
And they make frequent reference to Christmas too.
I don't think, the only thing that was missing, correct me if I'm wrong, was snow.
Yeah, but it was cold.
Yeah.
You look cold in that movie.
It was definitely England. Yep, they definitely had the fires burning and all that. Anyway, this was translated to English by John Freeman Young in 1859. And once again, it's Frank, chorus Frank, because you don't mess with the formula. Or else.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada box.
Next track, White Christmas.
Did you say white?
Yeah, I
Do
just
you
did
also
it
say Will Wheaton?
Cool Whip. Sorry. So, in my opinion, hold on, I broke my father.
Okay, I'm back.
White Christmas.
Was this written by Irving Berlin?
Stop, we're never gonna get through this. I'm sorry I'd introduced this anyway. Frank had some cojones doing this while Bing was still alive, but I think Bing already knew his legacy was cemented and he had nothing to fear. So, how does Frank distinguish his version from Bing's? Well, first, with that opening, we get a mini reprise of Jingle Bells, some strings, and some more Jingle Bells, just in general, to create winter ambiance. The strings and bells keep playing slash chiming to establish the mood. I don't mind adding Jingle Bells in there, it's cute. What I do mind are two things. First, there's some slight lyric changes by changing the word children to kiddies, which to me is unnecessary because Frank has sung that word before, i.e., Children's Carousel and I'll Be Seeing You. Second, the choir. Bang had a choir in his version, but they were used appropriately. And I think with this album, we've been so inundated with the choir that we needed a bit of a break. It's an unnecessary cover. Frank probably wanted to put his own stamp on it, but it's not needed. And the changes, while slight, are collectively are enough to irk me just a smidge.
Okay. This was obviously written by Irving Berlin. You know, there's Bing's version and then there's everyone else's. And this is the A side from that 1954 single Frank made at Capitol. And, you know, Frank had a terrific start with this. And then he goes and ring-a-ding-dings it by changing that line to, and kiddies listen.
And I was like, ugh.
I hope Irving Berlin gave him what for because I thought, no, you don't need to Vegas this up. Just let it stand on its own.
2 feet.
Yeah. You know, the rest of the song is fine, I thought, but for me, it's just that one cringy moment. It just doesn't stand up well over time. It just really does not. And if there was a way to I'm sure with all the technology out there now, they could probably lift him singing the word children from some song and place that over kiddies, and it would be fine.
Yeah, agreed. Next track, The Christmas Waltz.
Again?
Alternate version, remastered 1999. This alternate version is more jazzy in the style of Sinatra right out of the get-go, less formal than the previous version. Then we get some Nelson Riddle-esque strings and they're the cherry on top. Plus, the backup singers work here because they accommodate Frank's style without sounding out of place. And I think that's why this track succeeds, because it's tailored to Frank being himself. And I think when this album doesn't work is when they try to shove him in this box of traditional Christmas, but his Sinatra persona is fighting to break out. This track is how the regular Christmas tracks that weren't hymns should have been. Great rendition, although they could have calmed down at the end with singing Merry Christmas over and over.
Yeah. You know why I think it's better?
Why?
Nelson Riddle. He arranged it, he conducted it, and I'm really surprised Frank didn't use him
For the rest of the album.
for the
yeah,
whole
what the
album.
hell?
The chorus isn't overwhelming. Frank gets room to breathe. And I could hear the waltz time a little better on this one.
Same.
And I thought the only misstep at the end was when the chorus sings Merry Christmas over and over because all I could think of was Making Christmas, Making Christmas. That's what it sounded like. And I thought, okay, song's over.
Final track, Christmas Seals public service announcement. Again, why are we covering a spoken track? Because we reviewed Frank talking to the crowd on his Australia Live album, so we're going to be consistent. However, in the internet age where we're barraged by ads, not the worst one I've ever heard, and it's for a good cause to raise money for TB. And Frank also gave a lot to charity in his life. He did Jerry Lewis's telethons all the time, so this is consistent in his character. FS for CS was kind of cute, but I listen to that man and I think, yep, I can hear the Jersey in your voice. But in my opinion, they should have put this at the top of the album. Remind listeners out of the get-go that Christmas is a season of giving, and also to foreshadow the mistletoe and holly track that was to come later. Or even better, and you know what's even better about making it the opening track? You can't skip over it. But it's short. Well, you could if you lifted the needle and put it on the vinyl. You could skip it now, but just do it right out of the get-go. It's short, sweet, and it doesn't take up too much time.
Okay, Christmas Seals started in Denmark. In 1904, postal clerk A&R Holball came up with the idea of adding an extra charitable stamp on Christmas card envelopes. The money raised would be used to help children with tuberculosis. The postmaster and the King of Denmark, Christian IX, approved. They sold and sold and sold, raised a lot of money, and for his efforts, A&R Hobart was knighted in 1927.
Well deserved.
Now, Christmas seals in the United States began in 1907, and some people actually collect them, like, a stamp collection. Yeah, and I can kind of see why with some of the designs. And you can still purchase them at www.lung.org.
Now, is it just the U.S. and Denmark who does this, or did it spread to other countries?
It's worldwide.
Okay.
The money is still used to fight TB, which has made a comeback in the United States.
Thanks, Worm Boy.
The money goes to fight TB, asthma, lung cancer, COVID-19, and other respiratory illnesses.
Oh, okay.
And yes, it's FS for CS. Frank Sinatra for Christmas seals. And Frank gives his spiel for Christmas seals whilst also subtly promoting his Christmas album and the song Mistletoe and Holly. It's very, very subtle, but I don't know if you call that synergy or like, I'm going to promote the Christmas seals, but I'm also going to promote my album, baby, for the kiddies.
Get out of here, Frank. Overall, I'm slightly disappointed in this album due to how the quality fluctuated and was inconsistent. I think Frank shines with the hymns and when they let him be Sinatra, but when they shove him in the Christmas box, not every track works. So I say pick and choose what tracks you want to add to your Christmas playlist. But if this album came on in the background, I wouldn't shut it off, but would I be fangirling over it? Not really.
Overall, I liked A Jolly Christmas with Frank Sinatra a lot better the second time around than the first time I heard it. And yeah, it's not a perfect album.
No.
But it's way, way, way better than any Michael Bublé track. Way better.
That is a take. I do like his album Christmas, though, except for the Santa buddy god-awfulness.
Nah, I'm just consistent. I don't like any of it. And I've heard too much of it as of late.
Okay.
In stores where, it's like, okay, let me get my stuff and get the hell out of here as fast as I can.
I think that's the thing with me. I listen to like a couple Christmas songs a day, but Christmas Eve and Christmas Day are when I make the choice to put on all the Christmas music I want to listen to, so I'm not sick of it by the time it's December 25th. All right, as always, thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. The more you interact with the video, the greater chance we have of appearing on the YouTube homepage. If you're follow me on social media, I post the episodes there. If you're friends with my dad, tell him what you want to listen to, and he'll send it right to your inbox. Okay, that is our season finale of My Dad Listens to This. Thank you, listeners, who have stayed with us for every episode this year. We will be back in 2026 with other albums to nitpick and gripe about. One thing before I ask Dad if he wants to say anything before we sign off. Given the events that happened in Providence yesterday with the shooting at Brown University, hug your loved ones a little bit tighter than this Christmas season and let them know how much you love them and how much they are appreciated. Okay, that's all I have to say. Dad, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Yeah, did I mention this is way, way, way infinitely better than Bublé? Just wanted to make that point.